Hello and welcome to Dawn Chorus Writes, a Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction and audiofiction. This is a new series for Marichat Monday and part of With Love February, and it's called Romeo and his Marinette. And this is part 2. Massive shout out to Kim for her beautiful, amazing artwork in the thumbnail. All her information is down below. Make sure you go and send her some love. Send me some love by smashing that like button. Comment down below what you think of it and what will happen next. And make sure you subscribe because you do not want to miss out, because this will land on Valentine's Day and I'm planning to do an extra special long one just for you guys, so you do not want to miss out on it, and all the other videos that are happening at the same time. So hope you enjoy. Part 2. Adrien, Kat's POV. Kat found himself bounding across the rooftops of Paris with an almost giddiness. He had everything planned out for his day with Marinette tomorrow, including speaking to his chef about what they could have for lunch. Natalie still needed to confirm with his father that it was suitable, but it was for school. How could he say no? And yet, he still couldn't believe he had been given this chance to spend a day with Marinette and finally figure out if she had feelings for him. Every day he had tried to suggest or encourage the idea of them possibly going out on a date, to be alone with just him. She would either bring Alia or Nino with her, or kept using the word friend. And now, what? The ache he had felt in his heart as she mentioned going on a date with Luca? He had thought they had broken up, but maybe they were giving it another chance, and yet she was willing to change it for him. Surely that was a good sign, that she liked him. The look on her bashful face as he mentioned they could spend the day together to rehearse, and the touch of her waist through her cozy jumper when she stumbled, as he glimpsed her ocean eyes. I mean, she was willing to spend the day with him, literally spouting out words of love, given they were Romeo and Juliet's words, and the look of fear in her eyes as he caught her glancing at the text in the afternoon class. But he could coach her through it. That was what the day was meant to be, right? Rehearsing? A practice run for the first actual date? Maybe, just maybe, they might be actually together by the time they perform it. Okay, chill, Adrien. Kat, you are getting ahead of yourself again. Imagine the house and the 3 kids, and don't forget the hamster with his little face. No. She has to actually like you back. Speak her own words of love and not Juliet's. When he was homeschooled, his English tutor had been a huge fan of Shakespeare, and especially Romeo and Juliet, to the point he had gotten Adrien to analyse every part, along with 2 other plays, Hamlet and As You Like It, with the single line sticking out to him the most: "All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts." He had reminded him that although he was merely a player, directed by his father, in his life he will play many parts, and that the one he was currently in will exit and enter a new part, which happened to be Cat Noir. He had briefly looked over the scene before stepping out, remembering the words, as Plague grumbled it was even too cheesy for him, and something about a guy called Will should have taken his advice. Adrien threw Plague a questioning look, whilst all he got in return was a smirk before flying off into his cupboard, making some sort of weird chuckling sound that resembled him choking. Surely Plague didn't mean Will? William? Shakespeare? Adrien shook his head, struggling to comprehend everything Plagg might have seen and done in his lifetime. No, now was not the time for that one. But then again, it might explain the ending to Romeo and Juliet. If Plagg and his love guru advice had anything to do with it. Cat couldn't help giggling at the absurd thought before refocusing on his own Juliet, his Marinette. From 2 roofs back, he saw the glowing light emit out of the circular window from his princess's bedroom, prompting the lines to flow out of him, telling himself he was merely using it to get into character, that he was simply Romeo, not Cat, not Adrien. But soft, what light through yonder window breaks? It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief, that thou her maid art far more fair than she. Be not her maid, since she is envious. Her vessel livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it. Cast it off. Cat watched the skylight open and Marinette, his princess, climb out, holding a tray of steaming tea and a worn book and a thick woolen blanket. It is my lady. Oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. He grinned at how well the words were slotting into place in an effortless manner. She speaks, yet she says nothing. What of that? Her eyes discourses, I will answer it. Am I too bold? It's not me she speaks. 2 of the fairest stars in all the heaven, having some business, do entreat her eyes to twinkle in their spheres until they return. What if her eyes were there, they in her head? The brightness of her cheeks would shame those stars, as daylight doth a lamp. Her eyes in heaven would through the airy region stream, so bright that birds would sing, and think they were not night. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek. His grin was wide across his face, and his heart fluttered inside his chest as his princess did the exact action, as she leaned on the railings and caused every word he had just spoken to come true. He jumped the short distance until he was leaning against the chimney breast on her roof and watched her fold back the pages on the distressed book. Pacing back and forth, she muttered to herself and then glanced back at the book in frustration, throwing it onto the lounge chair to only dash over and pick it back up again seconds later. Cat chuckled, staring at his princess, and felt an aching glow in his chest he hadn't experienced before. "Ay me," Marinette sighed. "She speaks. Oh, speak again, bright angel, for thou art as glorious to this night, be ever my head, as is a winged messenger of heaven unto the white upturned wondering eyes of mortals that fall back to gaze on him, when he bestrides the lazy puffing clouds and sail upon the blossom of the air." Marinette lowered the book down, closed her eyes before darting them back open, speaking with a softness from her lips, which he suddenly found himself craving. "Oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name, or if thou wilt not, be but sworn my love, and I will no longer be a Capulet. It is but thy name that is my enemy. Thou art myself, not a Montague." "What's a Montague?" It is nor hand, nor foot, nor arm, nor face, nor any other part belonging to a man. Oh, be some other name. What's in a name? That which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. So Romeo would, were he not Romeo called, retain that dear perfection which he owes without that title. Romeo, doth thy name, and for that name which is no part of thee, take all myself. She unclenched the book from her chest and let out a little sigh. An impulsive thought sprang into his mind, and he decided to go with it. He leapt off the roof and stood below her balcony, yearning for her to allow him to become her Romeo. I take thee at thy word. Call me but love, and I'll be new baptized. Henceforth, I never will be Romeo. Who's there? Kitty, is that you? What are you doing here and spouting out Shakespeare? Marinette leant over the edge and stared down at him with a wide smile and a deep blush in her cheeks that made her eyes sparkle. Cat, using his baton, rose himself up to her balcony. With barely any distance between them, he leaned in even closer, watching the blush deepen in her cheeks. By a name? I know not how to tell thee who I am. My name, dear saint, is hateful to thyself, because it is an enemy to thee. Had I written it, I would tear the word. Cat Noir jumped off the railing and gave Marinette a bow. You said it so wonderfully, as if I was looking at Juliet herself, standing out on her balcony, waiting for... I couldn't resist joining in. For a moment, pretending to be your Romeo, and you are my Marinette. He took a step closer to her and gave her a sweet smile. But why is my princess standing on her balcony at night, reading such lines? Don't laugh. But it's part of school. I have to perform it in front of the class and rehearse it tomorrow. I wanted to make sure I got the words right. He watched as she flicked through the pages and refused to look at him in the eye. Oh, how he wished she would. Well, from that performance alone, my princess, I would say you have nothing to worry about. Yes, by myself. Oh, I was when I started. It's different than standing in front of him and performing in front of the class. How she had said it caused a flicker of fear to appear. Was the idea of Adrien being her Romeo such a bad idea? Why would it be different in front of him? Do you not want to be partnered with him? Is that it? No, it's not that. It's just... It's hard to explain, Kitty. I mess up my words around him on the best of days, and then it's just something Ali had said has put on this extra burden, that's all. How do you know Shakespeare so well, Cat? Well, let's just say I'm a kitty with hidden talents. He couldn't help himself, wiggling his eyebrows at her and making the look of a worried shift to a smile. Oh, is that so? She gave him a playful smile back. Then, does my kitty have any tips for me, so I don't make a fool of myself? Oh, how much he wanted to wrap her up in his arms, to stroke her cheek and mutter words of comfort, leaning in ever so. But instead he took a step closer and placed his hand on her shoulder, causing her to look up and catch his piercing stare. Oh, it took every strength in every fibre of his body not to lean in and kiss her. I would be more worried about your Romeo. How could he compose himself when he has you standing in front of him? playing his Juliet, saying the words like that. Oh, what, Kitty? Would you prefer to be my Romeo? He didn't know how much more he could take of this. If only she meant it. If only she felt for him what he felt for her. Knowing a blush was forming on his cheeks equals to hers. I would happily be your Romeo, my princess. But I would insist we change the ending. No, he couldn't make that move as Cat. Not when he had a chance as Adrien, where they could date under the sunshine and not by the moonlight. He took a step back. But at last you have been chosen another. I wish him luck. But don't worry about it, princess. I'm sure you'll do great. Thanks for the encouragement, Kitty. His heart skipped a beat as she placed a hand on top of his. Wanting so much to feel her skin against his own, he lifted her hand to his lips, breathing in the sweet scent of her vanilla hand cream as he brushed a kiss across the back of her hand, wishing, oh, if only. Good night. Who needs a Juliet when you have a Marinette? He jumped onto the railing and dared to take one more glance back, seeing the sparkle in her eyes. Night, Romeo, she called out. Her words suddenly gave him wings as he felt himself soaring back across the rooftops and into his bedroom. He threw himself down onto his bed, his arms outstretched. Claws in! Plag zoomed out and dashed straight to his cheese board, still on the coffee table. He placed a piece into the air and placed his other paw across his heart. It is the east, and Camembert is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious hunger, Plag said in a dramatic tone before planting a kiss on the cheese, chuckling to himself, and then swallowed the piece whole. Ha ha, you little gremlin. But did you hear her, Plag? She called me her Romeo. Oh, tonight was perfect. Apart from one thing. A kiss? Plag teased as he kissed another piece of cheese. Yes. No, that she even likes me that way. I wouldn't even dare ask for love right now. But if I had a chance for her to see me in a different light, then... Friends? Plag was in a strange teasing mood tonight, and Adrien rolled his eyes. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I love being her friend, but if I could tell her... But what if, after your little performance tonight, she ends up liking Cat instead of Adrien? Yeah, I might have gotten a little carried away, but I couldn't stop myself. Everything just kind of fitted together, like a magnetic pull. I couldn't resist. If she did choose Cat, that is, then at least I would be with my princess. Okay, Romeo, sleep is needed as your Juliet, your Marinette, is coming in the morning. Adrien let out a hearty chuckle and threw a pillow at Plag. Hey, that's my pillow, smitten kitten. Adrien didn't say a word as he closed his eyes and replayed the last hour inside his mind, falling asleep with a soft smile across his lips. Thank you for listening to part 2 of Romeo and his Marinette. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you smash the like button, comment down below what you think of it and what will happen next week in part 3, which, like I said before, is going to be an extended one. So it's going to be a longer one, special for Valentine's Day. And yeah, I hope you're good. Make sure you subscribe so you do not miss out, and I will speak to you soon. Bye.